This strategy is on fire in this current market, and in this video, I'm going to teach you the entire strategy, and then I'm going to show you real trades that I took using the exact setup. So welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, I've been trading for the last 7 years, and on this channel, it is my goal to break down every single trade that I take this year, along with showing you the full journey on my goal to make 10 million trading this year, but I want to do it in a very transparent way. Let's get right into the results, and then I'll show you the setup that has been working really well this month, because the whole purpose of this channel is to give you insight and updates on what's currently working in the specific markets we're in. So right now we can see $296,000 for the month, about an 87% trade win rate and a 94% daily win rate this month, starting off 2026. Now remember, I have been trading for 7 years, and I want to remind you, trading is not a get rich quick system, but by the end of this video, I want to teach you the setup that has allowed me to get the results that I have this month. So just to break down this month, $11,000 for the first week, $57,000, $83,000, $138, and then this week only $5,000. So this week we have been slowing down a little bit, only one trade per day. Now today we do have FOMC, therefore I only took one trade today for about $2.9 thousand, and you can see this week has been a lot slower than last week. But remember, every Sunday I give you guys the watch list and game plan on this channel for absolutely free, so make sure to subscribe down below. But this Sunday I told you that I'm going to be a lot more defensive compared to last week, where I was a lot more offensive, and you can see the big P&L from last week compared to the smaller P&L this week, and that is because I was being a lot more defensive with my trades. So let's break down the exact setup that has been working really well this month. And once again, I'm going to try to make these updated setup and strategy videos for you guys, so you know exactly what setup that I've been trading and that's been working within the month. But this month, one setup that I've been noticing that I've been trading a lot more is the previous day high and the previous day low strategy. Now, what is that? Well, on my main channel, which is Scarface Trades, and if you guys don't know the setup, I have a full in-depth video of this setup on the main channel. But what the previous day high is essentially we're looking for a break above previous day high, okay? And then we're looking for the retest of that previous day high and then continuation back to the upside. Now, of course, from previous day high, we also have previous day low. So technically, if the stock broke below, we could look for the retest for continuation to the downside. It's the exact same thing. Now, why does this strategy work? The reason the strategy works is because when you break above the previous day high or the previous day low, this is where the most liquidity is on the chart. And therefore, above the previous day high, sellers are overpowering buyers, and below the previous day low, buyers are overpowering sellers. Now, when we understand the setup, then we know that if we break above the previous day high, what does that mean? Well, this means that now buyers are overpowering sellers because we broke above, right? So this was resistance previously, which is now turning into support. Compared to if we break below the previous day low, what does that mean? That means once you break below, sellers are now overpowering buyers, and they need to hold the previous day low for continuation. So the previous day high and previous day low strategy give you the direction of the market, but most importantly, they also give you the trend of the market because they help you understand which way the market is moving. However, here's the problem. What happens if you have your previous day high level right here, you break above, and then when you're coming back for the retest, you actually break below? How do we take these trades? And that's exactly what's been happening in this market. We get a break above the previous day high, which shows that buyers are overpowering sellers, but in this market, we keep getting a break below, and the retest here is not strong enough, and buyers aren't holding this level for a move to the upside. So how do we trade this? Well, in this market, what we've been seeing a lot more of is the previous day high reclaim entry. Now, the reclaim entry, and I have a full video on this as well on my channel, this is called the 84% rule, and the reason it's called the 84% rule is because technically it should work 84% of the time, but the reason that this works is because when you break back above and you reclaim back above this entry, what does this mean? Buyers may have been a little bit exhausted at your previous day high, this first retest, and that's why it broke below, but they still ended up holding the stock. Now, just because they held the stock below previous day high doesn't mean that we can just randomly enter. We can't just enter on discretion. We need a mechanical process. And for me, that mechanical process essentially comes back if we reclaim back above previous day high, or once again, if this was previous day low. The reason that this works is because buyers reclaiming back above previous day high shows that they were a little bit exhausted when we actually had to hold it the first time, but the second time they actually held it above. And the only way we would enter if we actually break above the previous day high the second time is if we get a strong price action candle above the key level. So on the reclaim, we need buyers to show a lot of strength with the 84% rule on top of the previous day high, and we can look for continuation in the trend back above into high of day or whatever gives us that 2R multiple. And in this current market, This is the setup that has been working a lot more better for me and has been giving me better results in this specific market than the other setups that we usually trade. So with this being said, that's how the setup works. But now let's actually look at some real examples. So this was an AMD trade that I did take. This was a $29,000 trade. And remember, I do break down every single day for you guys, but let's kind of walk through the exact trade and what I saw to take this trade. So let's get rid of this. Well, previous day, what we're going to do is mark out the previous day high and the previous day low. In this example, this would be on Wednesday. And you can see that AMD is kind of starting to break out of this range. We had this range where we had this low to this high up here. We're currently actually retesting that range on the higher time frame, but once again, we're looking to break out of this range. So for myself, what am I looking for? I'm looking for AMD to break back above this previous day high, retest, and then look for continuation. In terms of targets, right, we can target out these key levels up here, right? So our 248.69, which would be our next daily high pivot level. And remember, I give you these levels and this game plan every single Sunday on my watch list. So make sure to subscribe to the channel to make sure you're updated every single week. With that being said, now let's go over to the 1 minute time frame. You can see that AMD is actually opening up a little bit below previous day high. So the setup or the system that we would trade is very simple here. It would be a break above the previous day high, a retest, and continuation for a move to the upside. It's a very, very simple setup. But let's see how we actually executed this in real time. So let's play out the trade. And as you can see here, AMD broke above. We came back for the retest, but look, no buyer stepped in. No buyer stepped in on this retest. We broke right back below, and now AMD is back below the previous day high. Now, this is not something we want, right? We do not want to trade AMD below the previous day high. The one criteria we have for this specific day is AMD needs to hold above this level. So the only way to trade AMD now is if we have a reclaim back above the previous day high with strong price action. So let's see if we can get a potential reclaim entry. And right here, we're seeing a little bit more weakness. We need buyers to really step up on AMD here, right? I'm looking for simply a candle closure above and right here. You see this candle closure above on AMD. What does this show? This shows that buyers have finally stepped up because this first time you can see we did not get a candle closure above. We actually rejected. But this time we actually got that candle closure above on AMD. So we can look to enter the trade here. Our stop loss would simply be a break of the candle that we're entering in on. And our profit target in this specific case could be, once again, high of day for our first scales, which would give us about a 3.38 risk to reward trade. But we know the next area of liquidity after this previous day high break is going to be 248.69. So we can target all the way up there, giving us about a 12.28 R multiple. And let's see exactly what happens with this trade on AMD. Now, you can see if I actually speed this up a little bit, this trade actually ended up moving very quickly back to the upside and had a really, really nice move. So when we entered into this trade at around 9:45, we were done the day at about 10:32, right? So within less than an hour, this trade gave you about a 12R multiple. And remember, every single trade that I'm showing you today is taken live in the accelerator where I live trade every single day, showing my thought process and in real time talking about where I want to enter and exit, because I want to show you that the setup and system works in real time as well. So this was the first trade on AMD. Let's go over to the second trade. This was on MU. Now this was about a $54,000 trade on MU. I did a full breakdown on this channel as well, so you can watch that after this video. But let's go over to the daily time frame and let's kind of think about this thought process and set up together. So MU has been having a really big move to the upside, right? We can see on the daily time frame buyers are stepping up very, very aggressively, and we're at all-time high. So what's the only level that MU has? Well, it's going to be this previous day high and it's going to be this previous day low, because we know buyers have been aggressively stepping up. So where is the most liquidity sitting? Well, it's going to be sitting at this previous day high. And for continuation in the trend, we're going to need the break above the previous day high for a retest to the upside. So let's see how we actually played this on the 1 minute time frame. If we come over to the 1 minute time frame here, you can see MU is actually opening up near this previous day high. So once again, we want the break above this previous day high for continuation. Let's see exactly what happens on this name. So far, we can see MU, a little bit of rejects here, right? Buyers are trying to step in, but sellers keep stepping in as well. We need a candle closure of MU above this previous day high. Let's see if we can potentially get this candle closure. So now when I see multiple times where we see sellers actually stepping up into this previous day high, what does that show me? It shows me that, okay, sellers are still active here, but it also shows me that if we can get a candle closure above at this point now, if we get a candle closure above, we will get a nice trend to the upside and we should get an impulsive move because buyers keep trying to bring it above the previous day high, but sellers are stepping in. But remember, every time we hit this level, it's like a wall, right? So the more buyers hit it, the more the sellers get weaker and weaker. So when we get the candle closure above this level, the sellers will be a little bit weaker, and this is where the buyers are going to step in. So now all I would be looking for here is going to be that one candle closure above the previous day high level. And remember, once again, this trade was also taken live and I did a breakdown on this channel as well. This is where buyers start stepping in. We can see a little bit more aggressive buyers, and all I need is a candle closure above this level. In this example, you can see we got the candle closure above on this first candle at 954, but for confirmation, we waited until that 955 candle. This is where you enter your stop loss as a break of the candle that actually closed above the level. And on this example here, we can simply target out that 405 whole psychological number. This is about a 3.72 risk to reward trade. Let's see exactly what happens on this trade. And as you can see, once we entered in, all we got was up close candles for a move to the upside. And that's why the previous day high reclaim is such a powerful setup, because the reclaim trade is typically a faster trade than the retest trade. Because on the reclaim, buyers need to come in with an impulsive candle and they need to push the trade up, compared to the retest where buyers can just sit here and consolidate, and buyers and sellers can kind of almost play with each other in terms of this level before the next leg up. But on the reclaim, it is very important that buyers either step up and the trade works or the trade fails. So either the trade works very quickly or it'll fail very quickly as well. But in this example, you can see the trade worked out very quickly, and this was a fantastic trade for us. This one actually ended up having a lot more continuation. If I actually play out this trade, this one was a very nice trade for us, and once again caught that live. This was my biggest trade of the year so far. And now I want to show you one more example of the previous day high reclaim to make sure you really understand this setup. Now, this was a $20,000 trade on SNDK that we took. This was the previous day high reclaim, but let's go over and see exactly how and why we took this trade. So let's go to the daily time frame first and see what happens. So SNDK, very similar to MU, a name that has been pushing up aggressively. Now remember, this setup works in any market, but for this specific market, of course, I'm showing stocks, and the instrument I'm trading is options specifically. But here we can see we're going to mark out the previous day high and previous day low. Once again, the most liquidity is going to be sitting at that previous day high because this stock is at all-time highs. We then come over to the 1 minute time frame, and you can see that SNDK is actually opening up near that previous low here, right? So near previous lows is where SNDK is trying to open up, but within the first couple minutes here, right? You can see within the first minute, look at how strong buyers stepped up. Very, very aggressive buyers stepping up within the first minute. And so for me now, what I would be looking for is the reclaim of the previous day high for continuation. Let's see if that's potentially possible on this trade. Here we finally get the break above, and what happens? We actually end up consolidating near this level a little bit more, right? We actually ended up breaking below this level technically on the 936 candle. It actually closed below the level, but you can see that buyers actually start stepping up a little bit more aggressively on this trade. So for myself here, now what I was looking for was simply a retest, and the retest was this one candle rule, right? If buyers stepped up on this down close candle, now that we're above previous day high and it's giving me a clear direction, that's what I would be interested in for the retest. And you can see on this trade, this is exactly where we ended up retesting, right? You would have your stop at the previous day high for this level, and you're looking for at least a 2-hour multiple. In this example, we can target out that 450 whole psychological number. And if we play out this trade, this was once again another fantastic trade for us. Just kind of continue that trade out, right? We got right up into that 450 level, and this trade worked out very quickly. And on this day, it was a 30-minute trade and a very simple trade. Once again, above that previous day high, we did break below a little bit. We waited for that reclaim. You could have entered in on the reclaim, but for myself, I needed a little bit more confirmation with the one candle rule. That's where I entered. And once again, I have a full video explaining the one candle rule. Just search up Scarface Trades one candle rule on YouTube or click the playlist in the description. So with that being said, I hope you guys got some value from this video. This is the setup that's currently working for me in this specific market, and I will continue to update you guys on what setup's working the best for me in the specific markets throughout the year. So make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to like this video. If you have any questions, put them in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with a brand new breakdown.